Okay, welcome back to solo role Mangging with Heroes of Adventure. You know, if nothing else, I think this has really given me an opportunity to kind of dissect Heroes of Adventure in and out, where it really works and where it really kind of doesn't work. I think I love Heroes of Adventure. I think it's a fantastic system, but I do think there could be like a second edition that does fix a lot of things. It's such a little known system that I don't think it ever will. I don't know how much will ever come out of Heroes of Adventure. Just this little indie, kind of thing. There is a Discord for it that has like 100 people in it. It's kind of that size. So, yeah, it's a shame because there's a lot that's good about it. At least for me, just being like right in the middle between crunchy and very freeform. It just works for me most of the time. Anyways, I bring that up because we're going to be making a fresh character again. If you didn't watch last stream, what occurred was that Garland and Brianna and some sellswords went into the tomb that was cursed by the centaurs. And it was this noble family's tomb, and they had a very dark past, of course, like all noble families. And they were basically like disease worshippers. And the curse had kind of taken on a life of its own and started to physically manifest as this like pulsating pus. And things were going all right until the final room of the dungeon, which ended up being this like giant pus monster that pretty much annihilated Garland in a single turn before he even got a chance to act. So I set the bar a little high, and then I kind of bumbled into it. So that is the end of Garland's story as far as we're concerned for now. We kind of decided that Garland is not dead, per se. He's not really alive either. He's pretty much just like this husk that is now somewhat being controlled by the pus to further this curse's goal. And what exactly those goals are is hard to say, but obviously expand is usually a good goal. But I think we're going to be leaving that behind. That all occurred on the continent of Kuros. Specifically, it was probably around here, I would say. And so everything up to this point has been on Kuros. We never left it or anything like that. So we were really fleshing out this region, which is why it's, I don't know, it's more kind of populated with features compared to Aeroth, I think. Aeroth is a big blank landscape most of the time. And we're going to be making a new character, and we can start anywhere. I mean, it's our world. We're the DM and the players, so if we want to start our character that just gets teleported into the midst of the cursed continent of Lyria, I mean, we could do that. That would be a little rough. Just like getting dropped into the, I don't know, the fire mountains of Talus. That would be a tough start. But I guess I'm leaning towards just starting on Aeroth. I'm kind of interested in this eastern side. There is a war going on the western side, and we could get embroiled with that. I'm just not sure how to handle that, both as a solo player and like if my family decided to play and get involved in the war side of things here. There's a lot of aspects of Talus that I've just not touched upon because I've been so concerned with the Golden Union about everything, and Kuros was just so removed from all of that. But I guess I'm leaning towards starting in this region here. We can start in one of these smaller towns. You know, it's somewhat in the wilderness. There's a lot of classic D&D style stuff we can do. But we could also push east and get involved in all the orc stuff going on. The swamp, the mountains with the dwarves. You know, there's plenty of classic D&D potential here that we can kind of build out. That's what I'm thinking. So yeah, let's just make a character. Now, the first thing you do is choose your race. So you can select a race or roll a d6 on the table. And this is sort of what I was alluding to with my opening monologue. Of just like, there's just some things that I don't really care for and could be done a lot better. I think in D&D, a lot of the time, your race, or they don't use that term anymore, they use like ancestry or something like that. I think it's fairly well balanced. I don't really remember. I mean, pretty much always human was kind of leaning towards the best for most situations, but it wasn't like overwhelming in any way. I don't think. But here, you know, you have 4 races: human, Northman, Wildfolk, Wildling, which is basically human, dwarf, elf, half-elf. The thing is, all the non-humans are wildly better than being a human. So if you pick a human, you start with 5 base health, 8 base defense. You get 1 language, common. You get any one attribute improved, and any 1 skill improved. That's it. That's what you get for being a human. If you pick a dwarf instead, you get double the base health, same defense, you get common and dwarven as languages, you get 3 attributes. Now, you don't get to pick them, but you get fortitude, strength, and will. So you get half of the attributes improved compared to just any one. And then for skills, you get crafting and languages. And I'll agree that those aren't amazing skills compared to improving any one. So skills is probably where the Northmen kind of lack a little bit. Because humans could theoretically really bump up their like melee skill or magic skill or something at the start. But then Northmen also get, for free, dark vision up to 60 feet. They can just see in the dark forever, permanently. I mean, that'll if there was nothing else, that's like really good. They also get iron skin. All damage against them is reduced by 1. All damage rolls reduced by 1. And as a bonus, they live twice as long as humans. So double health, an extra language, technically 2 extra languages because they get languages as a skill, 2 extra attributes, dark vision, and iron skin. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Wild folk, now that's where it really gets ridiculous. The elves, they have more base health than humans, 3 more. They have 2 more base defense, which is a big deal. They get common and elven. They get agility and senses for attributes, which are arguably the most useful attributes anyways. And then for skills, for free, they get athletics, languages, magic, range combat, wilderness, survival. 5 free skills compared to any 1. They get alertness for free, so they get advantage on all senses checks, which is insane. Meditative trance for free, so they recover more health overnight when they sleep, which is insane. And they get to roll the heal at advantage. And they live 4 times as long as humans. Like, there's no situation, really, where a human is better than an elf. No, you'll never convince me. maybe if you want to go into melee, because the wild folk don't get a free skill into melee, whereas the human could. But that is not offset by having 3 less health, 2 less defense, an extra attribute, advantage on all senses, and extra healing at night. It's ridiculous. Half elf is a little bit more reasonable, but also not really. They have the same base health as humans, but they get 1 extra defense. They get Elven as a language, agility and senses, which again is really good. For skills, they get athletics, languages, magic, and range combat, which for most characters, that's going to be all you need. And then they get alertness as well, advantage on all senses checks. But they also get adaptable. They can select a free class ability from any class they want. So that, yeah, you're barbarian. You could pick barbarian and then for free take like form magic or something. Or just like, I mean, that, yeah, it's pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good. Honestly, if you gave humans adaptable and you just moved this adaptable ability over to humans and did nothing else, I would say that would be a huge step towards balancing all 4 things. And honestly, that might be what I do going forward. And they try to balance it by saying like, oh, these other races are uncommon. It's recommended that only one of them exists in a party at a time. That is not balance. That is not balance whatsoever. If you were playing like an MMO or something and it was just like, yeah, this one player, he's just better than all of you. Like, his character is just better. But there's only one, he's just better. Okay? Like, there would be a lot of upset people, I think. Elves are so cliche, though. Be something weird like a half-orc. Oh, I mean, I would never play as an elf. And I'm not going to play as an elf. I'm just commenting on balance, because this issue came up. I mean, they didn't realize it. But when my family members were playing and they started to make characters and stuff, and it's like, okay, well, you know, I could let them play some of these other characters, but it just doesn't seem right. Like, yeah, okay, you can be an elf, but only one of you can be an elf, and he's just better. He's just better in every way. Like, maybe that's realistic, but that's not good game balance. But I think giving adaptable to humans is a pretty good start. I still am not quite sure about balance beyond that. I think a lot of work could be done here, and I do wish there were more races. But I think I'd have to actually put in some legwork and just make up. Basically, I'd have to sit here and redo the whole race system. I'd have to balance it out and then come up with some other. There's no halflings. There's no, half orcs. There's no dragonborn or dragonkin or, I mean, I like options. I, of course, like options. And it does somewhat depend on your setting, and this game, as we've seen, has its own setting in mind. So that's why you have only these 4, because that's what the setting calls for. But that's the thing. I mean, it's not that difficult for us to just come up with a bunch of new races. So I don't know if I want to do that now. I think we're probably just going to go with human. But, like, absolutely, I think humans should have adaptable as an ability. Yeah, but I feel like I'd have to just make up some passive abilities here. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably spend some time on my own. But then it's like, you know, then I have to find somehow to like incorporate it into the PDF, you know, or you know, actually I have the book. I'd have to like print it out and then stick it in the book, my extra custom stuff. Anyways, whatever. We're gonna go with human. Let's go ahead and give him the adaptable ability, though. I think I'm gonna enact that change, if nothing else. We're gonna take away adaptable from wildlings, from half elves, and give it to humans. I just think that, yeah, it makes sense. Humans are adaptable. That's kind of their point. And it makes them not as shit. Okay, so our base health is 5. Our base defense is 8. We get to our attributes. We're gonna roll 2d6 on the attribute table and increase those. So let's go. We got a 1 and a 2. So we've got agility and command. We'll worry about the other stuff once we pick our class. So let's roll on the class table. I'm willing to take pretty much anything, I guess, because we can always multi-class if nothing else. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll take pretty much anything until I roll, and then I'm like, no, that's stupid. Well, let's see. We got 11. Mage. Well, I feel like we're walking down the same path here. But it would let us use some different kind of magic. Like ice magic and time magic. Time magic's always fun. And we start with arcane magic for free. Alright, we're gonna be a mage. Okay, so they get an extra 4 health. So we start with 9 HP, which is not much. Yeah, and since spellcasting is tied to your health, picking like a dwarf, well, again, picking an elf, you start with 3 more health. So we'd start with 12 health instead, and we'd get magic as a free skill. It's just, yeah, it's just better. Do some blood magic. I don't think that exists. I don't think that exists. Arcane magic. Let's see, mage. So we get will as an attribute. We get skill in lore and magic, of course. You just thought it sounded cool. Well, of course it's cool. Chemomancy. We start with robes, a dagger, and 200 silver. Okay, then we get 2 skills to improve. So with human, then it's 3 skills. I feel like we could Well, it's 2 different skills, and then human is any one skill. So we could actually put magic at a D8, which I am strongly going to do. And then one other skill. Let's do alchemy and medicine. We want to play a real scholarly man. We want to get out in the world and do experiments. We're going to capture some goblins and perform heinous experiments on them. That's the character we're making. We get one other ability. We also get one other attribute. Definitely senses, for sure. And then, since we're adaptable, we can take any ability from any class. So we could take some other magic domain that mage doesn't have access to. But we also could take something like... You remember, like, that warlock had that thing we were discussing? Sorcery Surge, yeah. Cast a spell at advantage. Wild magic occurs on a natural 1 to 3. I'm tempted to try that. Although, damn. This Hex ability from the Witch. Magic versus will check. One opponent at medium range acts with disadvantage for the entire encounter. It's pretty good. Or Persuade from the Zealot. Make a command versus will check to make a simple lawful demand of an NPC which must be obeyed. Yeah, but I mean, just doing magic. I mean, especially like Sorcery Surge with a damage spell. Like guarantee we hit 4 different targets or something. That's not bad. I think we're going to take Sorcery Surge. Let me just check and make sure Mage doesn't get that. Okay, he does not get that. Oh, but he gets Spell Focus. Charge a spell, expending 0 health points. Whew. Now that's cash money. Okay, hold on. We're going to take Sorcery Surge. Spell with advantage. Wild on 1 to 3. So we get one other ability. We could take a second magic school or spell focus. I think we probably want to expand our... but it's really useful now when we have low health. Do I really want to roll level 1 with only 2 spells, though? It's pretty limited. Yeah, I think we have to take another magic school. So we got air, earth, fire, form, ice, matter, rune, time, water. I obviously lean towards time magic. But air magic would give us the ability to fly, which as we know is extremely useful. So that is a factor. Okay. I'm just looking at time magic with Time Bomb. Sets a brief delay before an explosive burst of temporal energy is released, injuring nearby creatures or objects. It says time encounter. Which makes it sound like it won't explode until the end of the encounter. That's a really weird way to phrase it. Time magic does sound fun. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Temporal sphere. Create a sphere where time moves 6 times faster inside than outside. That's really interesting, because that's... Time moves faster inside than outside. The way that I understand that is like Wayne's ability from, you know, the Mistborn second series. So basically, I'd be able to take 6 turns inside the bubble before 1 turn passes outside the bubble. People may pass in and out of the sphere, but ranged effects may not. I'm just trying to think of... I mean, in the books, obviously, Wayne uses it very efficiently. Because he uses it to, like, stop and catch his breath sometimes, or he'll use it to, like, move quickly around a room. It's a range of short. So it's like a third, but it... I don't know why it says range and not area. It's a confusingly... It definitely, I think, needs more words to it for me to better understand this. Because it doesn't describe how big the sphere is. Shielding creates a temporal shield around the target that slows all physical injuries until the end of the encounter, at which point all injuries are applied. That is really like, you are already dead. Jesus. So haste obviously is the big one. For 2 turns, the target gets an extra action each turn, but that's not really good for a solo mage. It's okay, but it's not amazing. And then slow is the opposite. You get to act once every 2 turns. Forget. Target forgets the circumstances of their last encounter. Basically, if we want to just, like, date rape people, we can cast the forget spell. And deteriorate ages an inanimate object, making it unusable for the duration of the spell. Making it unusable for the duration, which is an encounter. So it ages it temporarily. I gotta say, I'm not overly amazed with the time spells, all things considered. I'm not really sure what I expected or anything. But if we look at form, which I think we could take form. Now I have to double check again. Yeah, we can take form. We'd get elasticity. Target's body becomes stretchy, and you can extend your reach with short range. Now, what are the limits of your stretchiness? I don't know. I guess you can't stretch further than 30 feet. How much control do you have? I don't know. It doesn't say there's any penalties to your reach. So I assume you have full control over all your appendages out to 30 feet. That it's pretty nuts. Amazing that my mind went there first. Oh, for the date rape? I mean, that's, you know, it just seems Target forgets the circumstances of their last encounter. It just sounds seedy. I don't know. What would you use it for? Anyway, so elasticity is pretty good. Ethereal form. Target becomes ethereal, passing through solid objects and cannot be interacted with. Ends when interacting with something or casts a spell. And that lasts for a whole encounter. Yeah, already that seems insanely good. You can just pass through solid objects. We can go anywhere, and we cannot be interacted with. I don't even... What are the limits of this? We become ethereal. I mean, I guess we can't pass through liquid objects. It's clear about that at the very least. So water and, you know, lava or something, I guess, would still be an impediment. Oh, to rob people. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you know. Still, it's a criminal activity. Whatever. Grow. We can enlarge a person, animal, plant, or object one size up. Harden. Gives +4 defense for the duration of the spell, a whole encounter. Haste, so you also get haste here as part of form. Natural weapon for an encounter that does d6 damage. Regenerate 1 health per combat turn. And it lasts for an encounter. A whole encounter. And you get 1 health per combat turn. Now, I love that there's just no thought as to, like, well, what happens if I cast this out of combat? You know, how long does it last? How much do I heal for? What happens? No, you're on your own. I know there's a section somewhere. Well, okay. So an encounter out of combat is 10 minutes. It says 1 turn, but that's an out of combat turn. Exploration turns take 10 minutes. It doesn't say how long a combat turn takes. Usually the number thrown about in RPGs is 6 to 10 seconds is a turn. And I generally abide by that. So as far as I'm concerned with this spell, you'd get 1 health every 6 seconds for 10 minutes. Meaning pretty much you're at full health. I mean, yeah, that's how I would interpret it. So out of combat then, regenerate for 1 health cost from your spellcaster means you get full health. If you check at Divine instead, it's 1 health cost, 1 target for a d6 heal. Now, yeah, in combat, I would say heal is probably better, especially because then you could charge it up to do like d20 heals to 4 targets, and that's really good in combat. Whereas regenerate, I think, is always just going to be 1 health per turn. But out of combat, yeah, regenerate so much better. Shape change. Target shape change into a creature of the same size or 1 size smaller. And we can use this on ourselves, by the way. Shrink. Shrink a person, animal, plant, or object 1 size down. And strength. Gain advantage on strength and damage checks. Yeah, I'm leaning towards form. I think form's pretty good. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Alright, so let's take form magic. And then, yeah, hold on. We haven't picked our arcane magic spells yet. For form magic, for our first 2 spells that we're going to take, we're going to take ethereal form, of course. And then elasticity would also be pretty good. But I think for use cases, ethereal form probably covers a lot of stuff that I would want. There's grow and shrink, which have uses. But probably shape change has the most potential. Because then, like, okay, so say we fight a bear. Okay, yeah, I mean, let's say we're foraging in the woods for whatever reason, and we come across a bear. And we're level 1. We're just a little mage. Come across a bear. There it is. It's a level 3 target. You know, it's got defense 12, damage resistance 2. It's got a d6 roll. It's pretty painful, potentially. And its size large. So then we could shape change it into... I was looking for just a dog. I don't think... Yeah, a fox is small, so it'd have to be a medium target. Just some basic bitch medium target. I mean, a giant rat, I guess, but I was hoping for a level 1. I'm sure it's in here. I mean, hell, even just turn it into a horse, which is the same size. It immediately, you know, goes to 8 health, 10 defense, nothing else, really. That is a drastic drop in capability. Oh yeah, there's a hound, which is also small. I wonder if you can charge shape change. I don't think so. Not to change more than 1 size. So still a little limited. You're never going to be turning a dragon into like a little cat. I mean, maybe if I had a player that was like using this spell, perhaps you could convince me that charging and empowering it might change it, but I don't know. It seems kind of clear. Alright, so yeah, but ethereal form shape change, because I can shape change myself into a bird if I want to fly or something like that. So arcane magic. Activate magic. Activates a magical item or effect. Lame. Who would pick this? Activates a magical item or effect. So if I have a magical item, then I don't have a mage with activate magic, I'm just fucked? Like, what? How would that work? It's so vague. I don't know what to do with that. Armor, +4 defense for the encounter. Charm. Charms a target to do their bidding as long as it does not cause itself harm. Hey, Durden, you could use that to rob people. Yeah, I mean, Charm definitely has potential. I don't think our character is going to have the same moral qualms as Garland. So I think we're a bit looser. We're going to be a bit looser with what we're willing to do. So Charm is certainly on the table. Detect magic, dispel magic. Now, dispel magic certainly I could see has uses. I just don't get activate magic. Illusion creates an illusion from something they have seen. Levitate allows the target to float in the air up or down. Now, that's not flight. That's very specifically float up or down. Meaning that if you want to move horizontally, you will need some external force pushing or pulling on you. It has uses, absolutely. It certainly nullifies fall damage. And it does allow us to potentially climb up high stuff, but it's not flight. And I think we're going to get flight eventually, because we're going to take air magic, probably at level 2, really. So, yeah. Lock magically seals a door, chest, or other container. Missile, that's the one we want. Create a bolt of arcane energy which causes damage. It's a D6 magic versus agility, but we can crank that up to D20 against 4 targets. So it could shred, especially at level 1. D20 damage on 4 targets at level 1? It's insane! So yeah, we're going to take Charm and Missile. Alright, and those are our 4 spells. I think a potent collection for sure. All right, we're nearly there. All that's left is our starting equipment. What else do we want besides robes and a dagger? Probably some fun stuff. We're poor again, you know. We need to make our fortune to further our experiment. I had a character, a short-lived character. I only got to play him a couple times, like online. He was heavily inspired by Sarcasm. His name was Korg the Wanderer. He was a Minotaur. He almost never spoke. And he was always like kind of bundled up in like a cloak and robes and stuff. I always pictured the like fake monsters or whatever from the movie The Village. Is kind of how he looked. Like just really creepy looking. And his whole thing was just like capturing enemies after battle and just like vivisecting them and performing experiments on their organs and stuff. And I think his class initially was like, I think it was the Blood Mage or whatever, the Blood Hunter. It's the class that Matt Mercer made for 5th edition like years back. He was not a he was not a heroic character by any degree. I played a horror character. Yeah, he was just a horror character. It's probably a character that works much better playing solo than it did in a group. Because I just remember like the first encounters with a bunch of goblins, and I just took one alive afterwards, and like, yes, I will I will work on this one. And I just took him into like my tent. You just heard screams all night. Yeah. Okay. So robes don't give any defense. It's just clothing. So our defense is going to be 8 unless we hear otherwise. I would say probably there's really no reason I wouldn't own a shield. It says you must have one hand free to perform the intricate spell gestures. So there's really no reason I would not own a shield. So yes, I can't have my shield and my dagger out and cast a spell. But the dagger is really just like an afterthought. When am I ever gonna wade into battle with my dagger? If that's happening, I've already died. It's already over. So we'll spend $100 on a shield, because that's going to give us 10 defense instead of 8. Other things that could be useful to me. I mean, the usual kind of stuff, I guess. Even stuff, yeah, that I don't really question when I'm playing solo, but I do when I'm DMing. Like lights, like a lantern. And really, I usually use lights not to be like, oh, you can't see anything because it's... Well, I guess I do that as well, but it's more like if you're lit up in a dungeon and your opponents are not, like, they can clearly see you while you can't. Which is a big, red flag for your group. That's usually how I kind of get people. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the nature of it. When no one has dark vision or anything, it's just shitty. But yeah, let's buy a lantern. We'll be legitimate. A book is $200? Jesus. I thought I would buy a book just for all my experiment notes. But that's a lot. How much is paid? A page. Okay, all we can afford right now is a page. So we've got a page, and that's, very important to us. We will write down all our great notes on that page. A quill and ink is also 20. I would say we could just use like a tiny piece of charcoal or something, but we're more refined than that. So we're going to spend 20 on a quill and ink. We're down to 50 silver already. We have barely anything. I mean, there's so many things. We'll definitely want like a loyal porter to carry like the lantern and rope. Other miscellaneous tools. I'd say we probably want a saw for obvious reasons. I'd also like a drill. But yeah, I don't have much money. For now, I'm gonna buy 5 wooden spikes for $5. And I'm going to buy a hammer for $10. So that's 15. I'm down to 35. I think we have to call it there. unfortunately. This is getting way ahead of everything, but I should throw a cursed grimoire in this adventure. Okay. That could crop up. I'm sure those are around. I think we're done. We just need a name. Let's go with Malkalon. Malkalon. Yeah, okay. So Malkalon is certainly registered with the Ministry of Magic. He's not that young. I picture him like 40s, really. But he has yet to make a mark for himself. You know, he hasn't really done anything. He hasn't accomplished anything. No one knows of Malkalon, really. He hasn't amassed any amount of fortune. He's learned some magic, which isn't like D&D with a wizard. It's not like he went to school for years and years. It's largely just innate. But now, you know, the time has come where he's got to make a name for himself, so he's got to get out there in the world. And he thinks that not enough people have really performed extensive studies on the other species of the world. There aren't any scientific papers written about orc anatomy and things like that. So, his goal is to, you know, write a tome, an encyclopedia. Of just all sorts of different creatures that are around the world, and their anatomy, their magical traits, you know, anything that he can learn about them to put into an encyclopedia. That's the goal. So, we're gonna start then in this town right here. I don't have a name for this town. Awbridge. Let's, hold on. Malkalon the Mage. Age 41. Seeks to make a name for himself by writing an encyclopedia about all manner of creatures and their anatomy. So he's a sociopath. No. I think probably he's congenial. You know, he's somewhat charismatic. He probably thinks somewhat highly of himself, despite having achieved nothing so far. But, you know, it's probably just a tendency of most spellcasters in this setting to think a little higher of themselves, because they can do what most people cannot. They're like the next step of evolution. Like X-Men. But really, he just doesn't see most other creatures in the world as, like, sapient beings. You know. He doesn't see orcs. He doesn't see goblins as creatures that could ever even have a civilization. I'm describing the characteristics of a sociopath. Perhaps. I'm also describing the characteristics of a racist. But yeah, he pretty much, you know. He's certainly got nothing against humans, elves, dwarves. These are all accomplished civilizations and species, but everything else is kind of all on the same level. An orc is no different than a bear or a griffin or a dragon. So they're all just meant to be studied. Maybe he's a sociopath. I don't know. We'll flesh it out. It's a workshop. Starts in town of Awbridge. Okay, so we're gonna say that he has a home here, passed down from his parents who have left this world. You know, he's 41. People don't live too long here. So his parents weren't anything like really, they weren't special or wealthy or anything. They weren't somebodies. And he's just kind of lived here. Probably... I'm just wondering if he could use his magic to, like, just earn a living here. Maybe shape change. Like, he just shape changes things for people. But it's not permanent, so that's the thing. I don't know exactly. Obviously, he could charm people, but that's illegal. So it's probably not, he doesn't really advertise that too much. So maybe he just has this, like, little underground operation. The people, you know, most people in the town know about it. No one's reported him or anything. That, he'll cast charm for money. You know, nothing too extreme. But it's a bit of an open secret. So that's how he's stayed, you know, in his house. He's kept... He stays alive. He lives from week to week. But he doesn't have much to show for it. So, we need kind of we need a start here. You know, Garland was very willing to just go to the local bulletin board and find a mission, but I don't know if Malkalon is that same kind of person. The thing is, though, writing an encyclopedia does not pay much. It's all well and good to have this noble goal of furthering humanity's education, but it does not pay the bills at the moment. So we could just go out into the woods and cut up a goblin or something and write about it, but we need to get some money as well, because we need to fund like proper expeditions. We need sellswords and porters and all that, and horses to go into the mountains and, you know, go over here and gather up a bunch of orcs to write about them, and into the swamps. And so maybe he'll take on a job. I guess let's just go to the local bulletin board and just glance. You know, we're not committing anything here. We're not committing to anything. But let's just see what people are talking about. Alright, what do we got? Hide or forget. It's already weird. Roll again twice. Okay. No, that one doesn't make sense. Learn or spy. Okay, now spying is something he could do. A known object. The theme is holy or blessed. Complication is a hidden location. So learn from a hidden location about a known object that's holy or blessed. Okay, so we've got some sort of religious artifact or object that is in a hidden location, and we need to learn where it is. Who would hire somebody for this? What is... I mean, I feel like this is just a lot of these are just like different ways to explain why you're going into a dungeon in the woods, you know? That's what most of these quests are. Or maybe that's just where my mind goes because I'm a simpleton. But a hidden location. I mean, I guess that could be all sorts of that. Could be like a safe in a bank or something. I mean, it's kind of hidden. Damn. It's a little tricky sometimes to just come up with a whole plot based on a handful of words. Like the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah, hey, I'm just going to post this on the bulletin board. If anyone wants to find the location of the Ark of the Covenant, I'll pay you 100 silver. I don't know. Let's just reroll until something really clicks in my mind. Stop or delay. Oh boy, here we go again. Stop or delay an unknown or new person. The theme is enchanted or magic. Complication is resource constraint. A resource constraint. Stop or delay an unknown person or new person. I need a better quest generator, I think. There's gotta be... Yeah, there's gotta be some other things I could come up with. Here's Don John Fantasy Random Generator. These are kind of old school generic stuff. They're all very like high fantasy, high heroism. You know, a merchant seeks a company of adventurers to rescue the Lady Ennis from the trolls of the Weeping Jungle. An aristocrat seeks a company of adventurers to slay the Leviathan of the Silk Sea and retrieve its brain. I mean, yeah, I want to do that, but I'm level 1. Yeah, these are all pretty kind of high end from the sound of it. And a lot of these are just like going into a dungeon or going into an old castle or stuff like that. How about someone who is already studying monster anatomy wants to hire you to procure a goblin? You find out what he's doing afterwards and betray him to take over his work. Okay. Okay. Sure. I mean, that's very specifically tuned to exactly my character. But that's how D&D often is, I suppose. So you're saying that I find just a bulletin on the board that just says, looking for one goblin live. Will pay 150 silver. And that's all it says. Yeah, basically. Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, that would certainly intrigue Malkalon as to what somebody else is interested with a live goblin. Perhaps it's for a circus show or something. So that's a reasonable enough task. There are some issues with it, of course, as with any quest, and obviously that's why this guy hasn't gotten a goblin himself. But the issue would be that, A, where do you find goblins? And B, where are you going to find a goblin by himself? Because goblins, I mean, as it says here, they appear in groups of 1d12. So the odds of you finding a lone goblin is pretty slim, but we might be able to find a small enough group. Or, you know, it doesn't really matter that much. We could shape change ourselves. We can't go to small. Oh, no, we can go small. Yeah, we're medium. So we could shape change ourselves into a goblin. And then, you know, get in there and seduce one. Lead him off. Lead him off into the darkness. Okay, then I'm gonna definitely need rope. Do something elaborate to separate one and trap him. Oh yeah, do something elaborate. So simple, Durden. Just do something elaborate. I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So goblins. Now, I have this whole region here, the Badlands or whatever. This is all orc territory. That's what these orc camps are. And this came up recently with my family of, like, the relation between goblins and orcs and how they feel about each other. And I sort of thought of it kind of like a house cat compared to a lion. Like, yeah, there's some sort of relationship there, but there's not really any significance. Like, there's no, it has no bearing on it. The orcs don't really give shits about goblins. And if a goblin pisses them off, I mean, they'll just slaughter them. You think the shape-shifting idea was elaborate enough? Alright, well, good. So, I don't really picture goblins just being out here in the plains or anything like that. I guess I probably expect them. Well, yeah, I guess it says they raid villages, ambush travelers, and steal precious treasures. So probably... So what's not marked on the map here? I mean, there's a lot that's not marked on the map here. We kind of have to fill it in as we go. But there's definitely smaller villages, like, kind of pockmarked around here. This, I definitely wanted to denote as the farthest eastern village of the Golden Union. So there's no other, like, human village further east than this. But there's definitely smaller ones all around here. And I'm sure that we've heard talk of goblin raids on those smaller villages. So maybe we just head out to one of the small ones out here. And I denoted, you know, major roads connecting all these bigger towns. Awbridge is not a little village, but it's not that big either. But yeah, major roads. But of course, there's going to be all sorts of small dirt trails everywhere. So yeah, I guess let's just start walking towards one of these small villages and see if we can find out maybe if locals have any idea of where goblins might be coming from, or yeah, any sort of intel we might be able to learn. So we begin walking on a dirt road. Let's do random encounter checks. Now, the usual system we've been using is a D20 that kind of escalates over time. But I don't think this trip would take more than a few hours. So I guess that makes sense. Like, the odds of us getting attacked on this small dirt road over the span of a few hours is pretty slim. So if we roll a 1, we get a random encounter. Okay, we did. The name of the guy that's looking for it is a Magdalene. Heads to nearby village of Tronum. It's just fun coming up with fantasy names. It's just a random mixture of letters, and it just, as long as it sounds vaguely okay, you're good. All right, so we have arrived in the small village of Tronum, filled with peasants. And they do have a palisade here, but you can see it's not a very well built palisade. It's seen a lot of abuse. There's clearly damage marks all over it from some sort of raids. But charm to use. Just to... I'm not gonna charm people just asking where goblins are coming from. So I guess we'll head to the pub. It's always got to be a little pub. Every village in the world has got a little pub. And we'll see if we can't bend some ears about where goblins might be coming from. So let's roll a command, I suppose. Well, I don't know if it's a command. I don't know if I am really speaking from any amount of authority. Unless I want to make my position known as, like, yes, I am a mage, licensed by the Ministry of Magic. I'm conducting an official investigation into the local goblin attacks. I guess, yeah, we may as well do that. We'll see if they... I mean, maybe they're happy that there's an investigation. Although probably not. They'd probably prefer just like a platoon of soldiers rather than this one old wizard checking it out. But I'll roll a command. And I don't have a DC for this. We'll just roll and see. I rolled a 1. Okay, they are very much not receptive to Malkalon and his bullshit story and his bullshit presence and his bullshit clothes. Nothing. They don't like any part of him. Probably with that sort of roll. Yeah, it's either going to be like uproarious laughter or like hostility. And they like run me out of town. I mean, either way, I'm not getting anywhere. But it's either do they think like, okay, well, let's roll on the reaction table. No matter what, they're not going to be providing me with any useful information. But it's just a matter of how hostile they are to me even being here and questioning it. And my PDF. Okay, well, let's just roll a D. There we go. So a D20 reaction. 17. Okay. Good and favorable. Okay, so yes. They just laugh me off. And they tell me, you know, don't even think about looking into the goblins. I'm just gonna get myself killed. You know, yeah, they do not take me seriously whatsoever. Great start. And Malkalon's ego probably doesn't react too well to that. I don't know if he's stupid enough to, like, you know, retaliate in any way. Because I imagine in this, in the setting we've created, that if a wizard uses their magical spells, like, unprovoked, really, on an unwilling target, that's how you lose your license. And if it came out that he was using charm to earn money, he would also lose his license, but that has been on the hush and hush. Whereas, yeah, if he just turns one of these people into like a pig in front of the crowd, yeah, he's probably gonna lose his license. So, I think he will not forget this. He will not forget this. The village of Tronam, their days are numbered. Publicly humiliated in the pub. Someday, Malkalon will be back. And they won't be laughing then. Alright, shit. I mean, we could go around still door to door. We don't have to end at the pub. There's other people here. So I guess let's go up and ask maybe a guard. And this time we're not going to go with the same story. We're not going to try and present ourselves as this official investigation. We're going to try and bring ourselves down to their level. And just say that, I don't know, what's a believable thing? I want to kidnap a live goblin. I don't know, just make small talk. And just see if we can, oh, you know, where do you think all these goblins live? You know, where are they coming from? That sort of stuff. So let's roll a guile. I rolled a 1 again! Oh my God. basically, like, the crowd from the pub followed me out. And they're just... they're just... The whole town is now just gathering together in laughter. Oh my god. Like, it's... Oh my god, it's just like the most ridiculous thing. How did both this character and Garland just start out so ridiculously? Oh my god. Yeah, so like, for whatever reason, the whole town just thinks this is the funniest fucking thing. That this old man is doing an official investigation into the goblins. It's just, I have brightened up the village of Tronam. Meager beginnings. Oh god, it's further publicly humiliated in town square. All right, I'm out of here. I just run out. Oh my god. That's funny stuff. All right, well, that I would say that probably drives Malkalon to do something a bit more stupid, and that's just like head out into the wilderness, just like out of like stubbornness and frustration. He's just like kicking a rock down the road and like, duh. Damn peasants, they'll see. They'll see. And now we're just gonna wander around. Yeah, we're just gonna wander around. So I'm gonna roll a d12 now. Like an escalating d12 instead of a d20. Because we're really just like wandering around in dangerous areas. Pretty much like looking for trouble now. So let's say if I roll a 1 or a 2, we find something. Alright, I rolled a 10. So it's just nothing. Like Malkalon thinks that like the birds and the trees are laughing at him. It's starting to get dark. He wanders still. So now 1 through 4. There you go. We rolled a 4. Okay. So we got a random encounter. Goblins are in the area. Goblins rob travelers and things like that. So there's a decent chance it's goblins. Let's go with a D4. If I roll a 1, it's goblins. If I roll anything else, it'll be something else. Alright, I rolled a 2, so it's not goblins. It's gonna be something else. It's gonna be a creature of some kind. I wonder if there's gotta be, like, random encounter generators. Kobolds. Kobolds could be fun. Do we even have kobolds as a monster? Yeah, we do. They appear in groups of D20. Jesus. That's insane. Okay, D20 is a bit much. Let's say this is just like a scouting party looking for juicy targets as the sun sets. So we're gonna go with a D8 for how many there are. 5. Okay. All right. 5 kobolds. Chances are they see me and hear me before I see them. They're specifically trying to ambush. So let's roll. And it's getting darker out. They have dark vision. I'm gonna roll a stealth for them with advantage, and then my senses roll. So they rolled an 18 on their stealth. My senses, I rolled an 11. What if this guy's entire adventure is getting laughed out of town and then encountering some kobolds and murder him? Well, don't spoil it. Some people want to see this play out. All right, so I don't notice these kobolds. And it shows them with weapons, but then for their stats, it gives them bite D4 with a disadvantage on the attack. So maybe a couple of them have weapons. Let's say one of them has a dagger, and then one of them has, like, a crude spear. So I'm in the woods, we'll say. And, yeah, I'm just, like, on a path, a dirt path. And they're all surrounding me in the bushes and stuff like that. One of them's up in a tree. And the one up in the tree has a dagger, and he jumps down to attack me. Now, I don't think... Yeah, there's no sneak attack. He doesn't get advantage or anything like that. This is just a normal roll. He just gets the surprise attack. Yeah, by default, there isn't much benefit to the ambush, other than you just get to... Oh, they get a free turn to act before initiative is determined. So they all get to go before we even roll initiative. Pretty bad. But yeah, I guess that makes sense. Alright, I'm not going to bother setting this up in roll 20. Okay, so... Yeah, I mean, they're all going to get to attack, so it doesn't really matter. The ones without weapons, the 3 without weapons, have disadvantage on their attack. But first, the dagger boy rolls a 19. That's a hit. It's a D4. It's 4, of course it is. So I'm already down to 5 health. Then the guy with the spear is going to come in. I'm going to say it's also a D4. Because it's just a crude spear. But he gets to roll normally. He rolls a 13, which is also a hit. He rolls a 1. I'm down to 4 health. Then we have 3 with disadvantage. So first one rolled a 1. Second one rolled a 10, which is enough to tie my defense. He rolls a d4 of 2. I'm down to 2 health. And then the third one rolls a 1. Okay. Now we roll initiative. And if I fail my initiative roll and go after them, I'm dead. Like, pretty much 100%. So let's try and not fail that. I have a d20 plus d4. I rolled a 12. Okay, and they roll a 5. Whew. Okay. Great. I think my best bet probably is ethereal form. Because then I could just slip through the trees. I mean, I could slip through the earth. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, I gotta reread this now. It's ridiculous. Hold on. Target becomes ethereal, passing through solid objects and cannot be interacted with. I mean, there's just so many... Like, can I just go down into the earth? I can't float. I can't fly. So we can't go up. We can't pass through air. What is keeping me from sinking into the earth? I mean, I guess it's just like part of the spell is you can't sink through earth, but realistically there's no difference between me walking through like a wall and me walking through the floor. So I would say I probably can go through the floor. I mean, I would say, like, of course I can go through the floor, I can go through the ground, I can go through the earth. I can't see anything, though. So it's like best guess, really. In this situation, it's good. But a lot of the times it would be a little iffy of like where you'd end up. These are questions nerds debate about Shadowcat from X-Men. Yeah, I can imagine. I can absolutely imagine. It's just like elasticity and Reed Richards. It's like, you know, what can he really... What are the extent of all these things he can do? And I remember when we played a superhero game and I had elasticity, and I tried to argue that, like, I could make a parachute that could stop a plane because I saw Reed Richards do it in a comic. You know, like, it's just like... When you have open-ended stuff like this, it really just comes down to the DM being, like, really flexible or, you know, dickish. But yeah, I would say for ethereal form, I can go through the ground, but I can't see. So there might be a dice roll to kind of, like, determine if I'm moving towards something, how close I get to it, you know, when I come back up, or... I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, that's my best bet, because if I change form into like a bird or something and try and fly away, they're all going to get opportunity attacks. And even if I make all of them at disadvantage because I'm a little bird, there's 5 of them. One of them's probably going to smack me out of the sky. They brought up the idea in comics that he can stretch himself so thin that he could cut through anything. Oh, like, you just stretch so thin, like, nanometer edge. Obsidian scalpel sort of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I never tried that, because I was already overpowered enough. But yeah, that's probably where your DM would be like, yeah, I don't know about that. And at least here it says you can extend within short range. So there is just a limit to like how your mass kind of has to remain within the short range. I don't know how far he had to stretch in the comics or, you know, how far he would have to stretch. But anyways. So we're going to cast Ethereal Form. We're going to use Sorcery Surge. So we're going to use magic with advantage. And if we roll a 1, 2, or 3 on either of the rolls, we get wild magic. That's what we decided before. So their first roll is a 17, second roll is a 3. So we get wild magic, but I think I still get the spell, because I still rolled a 17. So I spend a health. We have cast Ethereal Form, but now we have to go to the wild magic table. If this really fucks me, I may change my mind. But let's just see. I rolled a 3 again. A shadowy mirror form with all powers of the caster appears and attacks the caster. Well, thankfully we can't be interacted with. So I become ethereal and I like sink into the ground, and then a shadowy mirror form of me appears next to all the kobolds. I guess they would try and attack it, but I'm not even like witness to what's happening there, so I don't think we don't have to fuck with whatever would happen there. Presumably my shadow form would probably kill all the kobolds. If he would... I mean, I don't know if he would bother. Or would he just also cast ethereal form and, like, follow me? But he can't see either. So I don't know. What are the odds that he would actually be able to follow me underground? What are we doing? What are we doing? But overall, I guess I'm okay with that rule of if you roll 1, 2, or 3 on either of the dice, because only one of the effects actually cancels the spell. If you roll a 15 on the wild magic, that will fail the spell. I think... Oh no, 2 of them. And if you roll an 8, the spell is delayed till another turn. So yeah, okay. I'm sure that weird shadow doppelganger never comes back around. Well, let me write it down. Okay, so went wandering in the woods. Got attacked, ambushed by kobolds. Nearly died. Created a shadow doppelganger while fleeing. Yeah, I mean, is it like a Mr. Meeseeks from Rick and Morty, where it's like he can't be banished until he fulfills his goal of killing me? Or I have to I actually have to defeat him? Maybe he'll just, like, continue to try and hunt me down. Gets paid off in Act 3. Yeah, maybe. A shadowy mirror form with all my powers appeared. It's like, there's so many questions. Does it think for itself? Where does it come from? How does it work? I don't know. Yeah, I guess find out in part 3. So, as far as Malkalon is concerned, though, he doesn't know. I don't even know if I saw it appear. Because I just cast it and immediately just sunk into the ground and started moving away. So, maybe someday I'll just see this thing. Or it'll just show up outside my window one night while I'm sleeping. I mean, does it have knowledge of where I am? I wouldn't think so. Because then it turns into, like, it follows or something, where it's just constantly hunting me until I defeat it. Yeah, alright. Well, I get away. I think that's all we really need to say about it for now. So I get away, and I'm going to go back to Awbridge. I'm going to go home. It has been probably one of the worst days of Malkalon's entire life. And we're going to sleep it off. Yeah, we're gonna sleep it off. So we get a D4 health back, which is 1. So we're at 2 health now. We have nearly no money. We have accomplished nothing. We're talking about it beyond what was intended. I'm sure the idea was just you fight it and one of you dies. Yes, that is almost certainly the intention, but it raises the question of what happens if you run away, or what happens if you know, it gets contained in some way or doesn't die during the fight. And that's just up to the DM. I mean, I agree that it seems like a fun opportunity down the line to bring it back. And I just had a wicked idea. I just had a wicked idea. So there's a shadowy mirror of me with all my powers. And this thing appears on the worst day of my life after being, like, viciously, publicly humiliated. What if this thing like is basically just a dark version of Malkalon, and it went over to the village of Tronam and just, like, slaughtered all of them? Could I do it? Like, if I wanted to go kill everyone in Tronam? Yes. I think shape change into a venomous creature would probably do a lot of the work. Like some sort of, like a death worm or something. It doesn't even have to be from the bestiary. Like, it could be anything. Like, any sort of small, extremely venomous creature. Or yeah, I mean, the death worm isn't that venomous, but it would be something similar. I mean, I could also turn into a fucking basilisk, you know? Like, I can turn into any large creature. There's not even... Hold on, I gotta confirm this. This seems ridiculous. Shape change. Target shape changes into a creature of the same or one... Okay, I can't go larger. Same or one size smaller. Okay. Does it have that complex of its own mind? No, but that's sort of what I'm saying, is that, like, there is a part of Malkalon, you know, a part of his mind, the dark side of it, in which he would like to just go to that village and just fucking slaughter all of them for laughing at him. Yeah, I mean, obviously, mechanically, what I'm saying is certainly not the intention whatsoever of that roll. And 99% of the time, if you got wild magic and you got that roll, you'd be in the middle of combat or something like that, and you'd fight off this thing, and that would be the end of it. But I just think we have a unique role-playing scenario here that kind of works and would be interesting. Because then there could be like a survivor or two from the wreckage of Tronam. And then word starts going around that, you know, there's this shadowy mage. The shape-shifting, shadowy mage. And, I don't think anyone else would really put it together. Or ever make any sort of connection between me and that and the shadowy creature that destroyed Tronam. But if I ever bump into a survivor, they would be like, "Oh my god, it was him," you know. I mean, perhaps nothing will come of it. But, you know, it's something. So yeah, I'd probably say it was like a combination of him like shape changing into a venomous creature, killing some of them. I'm sure like just fires were lit. Like the entire village is burned down. And then anyone else, probably just missile can pretty easily kill him. I don't know if this shadow creature abides by the same like health rules as I do. Probably, I would imagine. But I think it would be easy for a few survivors to get away. And I'm just picturing this like shadowy version of Malkalon in the middle of the burning town, just like laughing in this like distorted way and stuff. That's what I'm picturing. Let's go with it. See, we're already making plots. Okay. So, I mean, the village is a few hours away. So I don't know if anyone in Awbridge would have, like, heard anything yet. But we're also probably the closest village. So if there were survivors, they probably came to Awbridge. So yeah, I guess that makes the most sense. Let's pick a date. We did mostly spring and summer last time. Let's go more towards autumn. Let's say it's August 21st. And now it's August 22nd. Woke up in Awbridge. Heard news about Tronam. A few survivors in town. The Shadow is going to need a cursed book. Oh boy. There you go. It's like a dark, shadowy mirror version of my encyclopedia that I want to write. But instead it's just this cursed tome of arcane, occult knowledge. He is my big bad evil guy. It's me! It's me! Okay, so yeah, Malkalon wakes up, goes about his business in town as usual. And I think probably there would be some maybe suspicions, unless he spends the whole time in his house. Which he might do, because he is very injured. But maybe there's a little bit of a rumor wheel that starts turning amongst some of the people of Awbridge. Maybe some people saw me return at night. And obviously I returned before Tronam was even burned down. So logistically, it of course couldn't have been me, but that does not stop a rumor wheel. That does not stop the rumor mill. So maybe, you know, somebody saw me come home later at night. Perhaps, you know, some of the survivors mentioned that it was just like this dark creature that looked like a middle-aged man or something, you know, just vague things that a few people in town might start to think, like, oh, what if that Malkalon was involved? Because, like I said, it's an open secret that I use magic for less than legal purposes. You know, I cast charm if people pay money and stuff like that. So I already have a reputation a little bit of being freewheeling with magic and being a little seedy. So yeah, there is perhaps some precedent, although certainly that's quite overboard. I think the survivors of Tronam probably remember like my encounter there where I was publicly humiliated, but it's like so far out of their mind now. And I think even during the crisis, they didn't put two and two together that the creature looked like the guy they were laughing at. It's just now in the aftermath that if they bumped into me, they could piece it together now. So yeah, rumor mill starts turning a little bit. But, I mean, as far as Malkalon is concerned, he's pretty much just resting up. As for how he feels about the news that Tronam was suddenly just burned down, again, a part of him is like, well, good. You know, that vindictive part of him is not really upset whatsoever. He is shocked, of course. I can't use this to my advantage to get goblin information. In the sense of talking to the survivors, or just like talking around and saying like, "Oh, I bet goblins were responsible. We should form a militia and hunt them down." His primary concern right now is just resting. We need to get back to full health. That was a really unfortunate day overall. I think that the secondhand information that's getting to him is just that some weird creature was responsible for destroying Tronam. Like, that's all he heard. So I don't think he would have... And again, he didn't even... I'm going to say he didn't even see the shadow doppelganger when he was fleeing. So there was no way he'd put two and two together about that. So he doesn't know what killed it, but he probably wants to investigate a little bit for his encyclopedia. But yeah, other than that, he's just resting up. So we're just going to pass a couple days. And I don't think anything would really happen. I mean, he's just staying around and he's chillaxing and maxing and all that stuff. So let's just pass a couple days. Heal D4. Heal D4. I've got 5 more, so we're at 7. Let's go one more day. 3. Alright, we're back at full. That was, slept for a few days. Okay, so now it'd be... That would be the 20... Night of the 22nd, night of the 23rd, night of the 24th. So now it's the 25th. Yes, Matt, did the survivors think they should tell you any info out of fear? You weren't certain that they remembered it was you. Yeah, I mean, I guess if Malkalon has no thought whatsoever that there would be anything that would ever link him to something, since he didn't do it, and he doesn't know about the Shadow Doppelganger, yeah, he might go to the survivors and try and, like, maybe press them into saying something about the goblins now. Again, almost kind of a little sadistic, I suppose. Because on the one hand, maybe he thinks that goblins were responsible, but, you know, even if they weren't, he just kind of wants to further his own goals, and he doesn't really care about the survivors or bringing them justice or, you know, anything like that. So yeah, I guess he would go to them. Which then, yeah, presents a tricky situation here. So let's go up to one of them. Let's say it's I don't know, a woman in her 30s or something like that, just by herself. You know, she's not with the other survivors familially or anything like that. And let's just ask... Does she make a connection between the shadowy creature and Malkalon? That's all I will ask. And let's roll on the... Yeah, deterministic. Deterministic is really the only one I ever roll on here. Let's roll that. 8. Yes, she does. She does make a connection. Okay, well, that's bad for Malkalon. Certainly is. Now, the nature of this connection and how she kind of reacts to it, I think we should roll on maybe the reaction table. Because there's a big difference between her just being like, there seems like something familiar with this guy, or maybe she's like scared and she keeps it to herself, or, you know, because if she just blurts out something, maybe this guy will just zap her in the brain, or, you know, who knows. There's a difference between that reaction versus, oh my god, it's him, it's the killer, you know. Let's roll a reaction. 16. Okay, so a good outcome, favorable. I think in that case, it means that she's going to kind of keep it to herself. I think if we rolled a 20, an excellent outcome, helpful, like, she would take it to her grave. That sort of thing. Like, she would never mention it to anything. She would just completely pretend that, you know, I've never seen this man before in my life. Yeah, like, all that sort of stuff. But here it's like, she's going to keep it quiet now, but she's going to tell somebody. She just has a flash from the night that makes her think he looked like you. Yeah. So during the conversation, she's like really like pondering and looking me over. And if Malkalon was a bit less self-centered, he might notice. But, you know, of course she's gonna look at him. Who wouldn't look at him closely? Again, he has no reason to suspect anything. He's clueless. But yeah, during the conversation, she's gonna think more and more about this. And that leads her to mention to someone else. I don't know who she would say it to. Maybe a town guard or something. Yeah, probably. Maybe she leaves like an anonymous note or something at the barracks or whatever. That says like, yeah, I don't even know if it's like incriminating, like or that I don't think it's like, yes, the guy, that mage, he was the one that did it. Like, it wouldn't be anything like that. It would just be more like, you know, I think you should pay closer attention to Malkalon or something, you know, just something to draw some amount of attention to Malkalon, which probably makes his charm business a little riskier. But again, he's still pretty clueless. So, you know, it's like a Jenga tower that we're slowly pulling out pieces for Malkalon. His shit's really gonna, yeah. Eventually, he's just gonna be fleeing. We're gonna be going to a different continent. This went so south so quickly. That's alright, that's fun stuff. Alright, but yeah, we still want to see if she'll tell us anything about goblins. So, I think, yeah, Malkalon during the conversation would basically maybe suggest that perhaps goblins were responsible for this. And I think the woman, again, being somewhat cautious here of this guy, because she doesn't, you know, she doesn't know anything for certain, and she doesn't know even if this guy was responsible, like, what his game is, or what his plan is, or, you know, anything of that, his intentions now. So she'll just kind of maybe agree with it a little bit, go along with it, and like, yeah, it could have been goblins. So now I guess we have to roll to see whether or not she has any usable information about goblins. So let's roll a d10 again. 5. So a weak no. She has like the faintest glimpse of a concept related to where goblins might be, which is barely more than Malkalon already knows, which is just general knowledge about goblins. So maybe she's just heard something from like, you know, heard something from somebody who heard it from somebody. Of like a rumor, basically, of where the goblins might be. And let's come up with some sort of fun location. I don't want just a cave or something like that. Come up like Lost Mines of Phandalin. The goblins have a whole castle, you know, like that's kind of interesting. So something a little different. What's a fun location? I don't know if I have a location generator. I get maybe Worlds Without Number has one. Actually, I'm sure it does. Hey, look at all these ruin sites it has. Okay, but that doesn't make much sense. Oh, stop it. Okay, I mean, that's basically just a cave. But a quarry is, I guess, slightly different than a cave. Sure, let's go with a quarry. So it was like a working quarry. But it was abandoned for some reason. And this wasn't even a quarry. This wasn't a quarry like run by people from Tronam or anything like that. It was run by one of the bigger towns, but it was abandoned for some reason, and the rumor now is that it's the home to a big clan of goblins. Okay, so let's write all this down. Spoke with survivor. She recognized Malkalon somewhat, but kept it to herself for now. Mentioned a rumor about an abandoned quarry. Home to goblins. Later, woman left anonymous note to guards telling them to keep an eye on Malkalon. That's not how that's... Yeah. Okay. So I think we have a foundation for next session. There's a lot of plates being spun currently in Malkalon's life. Many of them he doesn't know about. As for him, he'll be going to check out this quarry, seeing if he can't pick off a goblin to take back home for himself. Well, not for himself, but sort of. And, yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how things develop with Awbridge and the people there, as well as the shadow creature. We might go sometime where nothing really happens, but it's in place. This did escalate in stakes quickly. I mean, all good D&D games should. No real good D&D game starts with just the players all sitting in a tavern. Things should be exciting very quickly. And I think we've got that now. We've got plots. We've got a town burned to the ground. I mean, it's all very exciting. We nearly died in the first session. And I mean, you saw I didn't fudge anything. We very easily could have just died, and then none of the rest of that stuff would have happened or mattered. But hey, now we've got a plot. Yeah, good stuff. Like I said, I mean, solo RPG, and it really just, it flexes that DM muscle, though, of just creating plots and stories and ideas out of nothing, pretty much. When I started the stream, I had no idea. I didn't even know what continent I was going to play on, and now look at where we already have after a couple hours. So, yeah, it's good stuff. All right, yeah, so we're going to leave it off there. Pick back up and deal with some goblins next time and fun stuff. You're ready to write this one off as a failed adventurer. Very nearly. But now he will grow on to become the greatest scholar of his age. Maybe. I'm sure he too will die at some point. But not today. Alright, well, thanks, Durden, for chatting. Yeah, good stuff. My name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging, and I will see you fine folks next week.